Hey, Michael French, welcome to Dream Stories.
Hey, we've only got 2 or 3 more episodes of being Dream Stories.
I know.
And I'm saving surprises for everybody else. They don't have any idea what's changing. But.
Well, I'm trying as much as possible to say welcome to Dream Stories as much as I can before we
You'll never
finish.
catch up.
I know.
You're not
nor
going.
will I catch up with Keep Dreaming. So.
No, but you and Sarah did such a great job with that last week.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good.
Do we have any comments about Sarah?
Well, people love Sarah being on the podcast.
I think that
We could have her every week, and our audience would grow by exponentially.
The next morning, she said, "Hey, sugar, I had another dream. I would really like to be on your podcast. My dream needs to be on your podcast." I was like, "Well, we'll talk about it." But I liked it when she was going, "Yeah, and yeah, and okay, and yeah." I don't know if you saw.
Well, I think she was tired of me talking, so.
Or both of us, probably.
Oh, maybe. But it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So, well, we talked about last episode, we talked about Bayo, the movie that was really almost entirely a dream, the kids movie, or, well, I don't know that it was for kids, but the animated movie from Pixar. And it made me think about dreams in popular culture right now. I don't know about you, but I catch myself sometimes seeing a movie or watching a show on TV or reading a book, and a dream sequence comes up in the book or the movie or whatever, and I didn't catch on with the Bayo thing. You actually caught that. I never even realized it was a dream. I was like about half the world who didn't realize it was a dream at first. But which I actually have some notes of things that I bet people didn't even realize were dreams, in terms of
I have
stuff.
one too that I saw today.
Yeah. But what happens is you'll see this dream sequence in a book. There'll be, I listen to a lot of audio books, so I'll be hearing the dream like somebody was telling it to me, or on TV or in a movie, and I catch myself trying to interpret it. Mm-hmm. And what's wild is a lot of times it reveals something that's coming up in the plot of the book or the movie. And I think they do that intentionally.
Yeah.
But it just made me begin to think about the way a dream is created. How a dream is created by a director or an author is really not that different from the way God creates a dream.
Well, you said it reveals something late. It's usually a setup to reveal something later in the dream. And sometimes it comes across as being shocking at first, which Bao was. And then sometimes it'll jerk you out of reality for a moment, or it'll set you up for disappointment, and then you find out, oh, it was only a dream, but then that dream then kind of plays out, So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think that is how our Creator, God, speaks to us many times. We have the dream. We wake up. We understand that was metaphorical. That didn't really happen, or it was a metaphor. And then you interpret it and you realize it's preparing you for something that's coming.
Yeah.
So interesting today, because I didn't think. You told me what we were going to discuss today, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'll just let you lead most of that because I cannot think of a single dream from a movie. But both of our granddaughters are Disney fans, and they were going to Disney World. So I was trying to show them a Disney film today. So I turned on Toy Story. Do you know there was a dream in Toy Story?
Tell me about the dream in Toy Story, Lisa.
Well, Woody is he's so excited, and he's saying yeehaw, yeehaw. He's doing his thing, and he is, and the dog comes rustling in, and he wrestles with the dog for a moment, and they play for a minute.
This is Slinky Dog?
No, this is his.
Oh, the real dog.
The real puppy in the family.
Okay, the Dachshund.
Yeah, and then, wow, you remember that. And then it could have been a wire hair terrier.
Okay.
The Dachshund is the Slinky Dog.
Yeah. I thought the other dog was one. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Look that up. I'm just curious now. But anyway, whatever he is, I think he accidentally tears Woody's arm and gets a little tear out here. And the character, the main character in the story is a little boy, and he's about to go to camp. And Woody's getting ready to go to camp, and he can't find his hat, and everybody's looking for it for him. And so they kind of help him find it. Well, when he gets ready to leave for camp, his mom comes in and they decide not to let Woody go because Woody has a tear in his arm, and they put him up on the shelf.
Right.
When he gets up on the shelf, guess who's up there? The Wheezy Duck. Penguin.
Thank you. He's not a duck. He's
Wheezy
a
penguin. And so he goes, why are you up here?
I'm surprised you remembered his name.
He goes, well, I've been up here. He's wheezing the whole time. And he says, I've been up here. And he can't hardly talk. And he's wheezing as he's talking. There's dust up there. And he's saying, they said they were going to fix me and they didn't. Mm-hmm. Which is fear, right?
Right.
Fear then enters into Woody, the doll.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the scene is, he goes, hey, you think a week has gone by, and the little boy pulls up. He goes, he's back from camp. He's back from camp. Woody's so excited. He jumps down off the shelf. Little boy runs in, picks Woody up, and he goes, hey. And then he sees the tear on his arm, and he goes, I don't want to play with you anymore. And he drops him, and it just shows
that
Woody
slow motion
falling.
fall. Yeah.
And then you see Woody falling into a big trash can of toy parts, and he's going, no. And the little boy just puts the lid on, and then he wakes up from a dream. So
think about that. That is in movies and TV and books and things like that. They often call little cues as to what's coming. They call it foreshadowing. I mean, they call it that in literature, but but for the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So you have things that foreshadow, but that's not really foreshadowing. It's not telling you something that's coming, because Woody is not lost in the end. He's actually fixed and brought back home. Everybody rescues him, and he's brought back home, and everything ends well. And so that's actually a really cool dream, that sequence that's playing off of the whole concept that we talk about when we talk about fear dreams or even soul dreams. Mm-hmm. An anxiety, a stressful situation that causes a dream, what you're anticipating might happen instead of what God is saying is going to happen, things like that. Mm-hmm. We see you can have a dream that's foreshadowing, that's almost like a prophetic dream in a book or a movie. You can have a dream that's more of a fear dream. So it's a great place to look, because when I'm teaching students, even sometimes now, I have them ask God to show them something, give them a word or whatever, and then make up a dream to speak into it. We're going to have company here in just a minute because someone locked the cat in here with us. So
we're going to have a guest. It's not Sarah, but it's a cat.
Yeah. So anyway, so what I said is that I have the students create a dream, right, so they know what they're trying to convey, but they can't just say, "Oh, I want to tell you that." There she came. Look at that. I want to tell you that God is strengthening you, and He's giving you wisdom and insight for some circumstances and situations that you're facing. Okay, well, they can't say that to the other person. They have to create or make up in their mind a dream that will convey that thought using metaphors. And so when we see these dreams like this in books and movies, you're really seeing an author's mind creating a dream that's very similar to the way Holy Spirit creates a dream.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of times the metaphors carry very similar meanings.
Yeah.
Even in that dream, falling into the garbage can, falling down, losing control, falling into the garbage, not having worth, the lid being placed on it, you're gone, there's no coming back. Mm-hmm. Those are all fear-based issues for Woody in the Toy Story setting.
Yeah.
They're all the same things that in that case that the enemy would use to put into a dream to generate continued fear. And it does. It creates fear for Woody in the dream, and he ends up getting himself into trouble.
You know, you said it didn't really foreshadow because he's not thrown away, and that's true. He was discarded kind of, though, in the next movie. And so it kind of sets up for a toy is always worried.
Yeah.
This is going to sound so ridiculous. If I were a toy, I would be worried, when are they going to stop playing with me? When do I become not important? And so, if
you were a cat, would you worry about when? Well, I don't think you'd have to worry about when.
Her claws are in my back right now. Otherwise, I would try and release her, but I'm concerned. Should I just go ahead and push her off?
Well, I tell you what, while you work with her, let me address, we've been dealing with animated movies and dreams in animated movies. You raise Toy Story. I raise your Toy Story. I see your Toy Story and raise you Kung Fu Panda. How's that one? I can see your Toy Story and raise you Kung Fu Panda. So the whole concept with Kung Fu Panda is, if you remember, Kung Fu Panda has this kind of 3D look to it, but there's an early on in the movie, like right at the very beginning, Po, the panda, there's a 2D fight sequence where Po is dreaming about being this, almost like this superhero Kung Fu fighter. And of course, everybody knows Po is just a big overweight panda.
Yeah.
And he's never going to be, a great superhero, right? But that is a foreshadowing. That is like a prophetic dream, because it's saying this is your destiny.
Yeah.
Po, you were born to be a fighter and to save others and to change the world.
Right.
He has no idea that that's what that dream is speaking to. Mm-hmm. And so you see an author, director, etc., create these setups. And I know they're for literary purposes. I know they're for facilitating, transitions and things like that. I get it, but they are great illustrations of how a dream works.
Yeah,
and that's
cool.
like a prophetic dream.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what other
well, yeah, I was thinking, you say, okay, well, everything you've raised is current. Your Bayo was a relatively new animated. Toy Stories are relatively, the last 10 years kind of
Well, I can
thing,
think of one right now, but go ahead.
Kung Fu Panda. But I was just scrolling through some things on the internet and suddenly realized, and I knew this, but it didn't click. I'll give you a dream movie, a movie that the entire movie is basically a dream, and it didn't click with me, even though I knew it, until I saw it mentioned.
Can I say it before you say it?
Nope, you can't, because you're wrong. Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Dorothy is having a dream.
She's having a dream, yeah.
The whole thing. And this was what I thought was cool about that one. The people around her are integrated into the dream as metaphors.
Yeah.
The Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, they're all people who work on the farm there. The Wicked Witch, Glinda the Good Witch, the Wizard.
Yeah.
All these are people who are integrated into her
you
dream.
Knew that was a dream.
I knew that was a dream, but it just didn't click with me, because you're seeing the entire movie as a dream.
Yeah.
Very similar to Bayo. Mm-hmm. You know it's a dream. Well, you don't really know it's a dream when it starts, but you know at the end when she wakes up in the bed that it's a dream.
And you know the second time you watch it that it's a dream.
Right, exactly. Same thing as with Bayo. So, yep.
Yeah, because she goes to sleep. I think she's sick. Her aunt's taking care of her. And then she goes, she falls asleep. Or her. Actually, I don't even remember all of it. I just know that she's sick. And the next thing you know, the house is flying through the air. And
yeah, I mean, you get the impression she's been knocked out during the tornado, or goes unconscious during the tornado. Right. And that she takes a long time to wake up. Everybody's hovered around her bed, when she does wake up. Yeah. But in that dream, the metaphors are giving her understanding of the personality types and the characters. She's able to see into the life of the people around her and better relate to them. Mm-hmm. And God does that. Sometimes we see that in what we would call a healing dream. Yeah. God lets you see what someone else is going through, or their situation, or how they feel, so that you can understand, or sort of put yourself in their shoes then and relate to them in a better way, in a more positive way. Mm-hmm. Subsequent to the dream. And that's the impression you're left with at the end of Wizard of Oz. She values these people more because of the dream.
Right.
So anyway, which one were you going to say?
Isn't A Wonderful Life, isn't it a dream?
Well, that's interesting. See, that one's kind of cool, because that you could argue that It's a Wonderful Life is not a dream. You could argue that it is a visitation in a miraculous, very similar to what you could argue about A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Both of them could easily be dreams, or they could be supernatural experiences.
Right.
And that's something interesting to point out for our listeners and things too. We have dreams sometimes that are just dreams with metaphorical meaning. Then we have supernatural experiences that aren't dreams at all.
Right.
Visitations. We have angelic visitations from saints, prophetic events in dreams or visions that are much more literal. And then we have supernatural experiences that occur inside of a dream or a vision. And I think that's where you see It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Carol.
Well, interesting. I was reading an article this week. If I see an article on dreams pop up on the news or something on my feed, I'll read it or whatever. And I don't always put, a whole lot of credit into it. But sometimes they're medical studies or research stuff. And there was a recent research study going on with dreams. And a psychiatrist had done some studies with dreamers, and what they wanted to know was, do you have a heightened sense after you've had your hypnagogia phase of sleep, which is your you're in one. It's your first place. It's what you and I would call our twilight. During twilight. So it's where you first doze off, but you're not quite asleep. So if you doze off and you're holding a cup, you might release it and it would tumble. But you may also hear things during that time. You can hear conversations happening, and they will be integrated into what's happening with you. Have you ever done that? Like you'll just doze off and the doorbell will ring, and you'll be dreaming it's a doorbell, but you're hearing the doorbell. Right. Whereas if you were fully asleep really hard, you might not would hear the doorbell, or you might not would hear someone walking by you, you know. So anyway, what some people say, a lot of scientists in the past use this time. What they do is they purposefully fall asleep, and when they fall asleep, they hold something so that when it falls, they're kind of shocked into reality, almost like how when you're about to fall, you catch yourself kind of thing. That's during that phase, if I'm not mistaken. And they say that you have like this rush of heightened awareness. So people would get up and start researching at that time. And what this researcher did was she let people fall asleep, and then they accidentally woke up or whatever, and she gave them a puzzle to solve, like a math puzzle, and the puzzle was solved with a 80% greater accuracy. They figured out the puzzle much quicker than those who did not.
That's interesting.
Fall asleep and wake up. And I think Albert Einstein was someone who did this, and there are some others. But
that's interesting, because that brings us that leads us right along with our pop culture, movies, TV, books kind of thing, because we see people taking both twilight time and their deeper dream time and drawing creative things out of it. We've talked about music in the past. We've talked about art in the past, loosely, generally speaking. Paul McCartney, I think, a couple of different songs that he wrote out of dreams. Yesterday's one of them. But Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein immediately coming out of a dream. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde immediately out of a dream, saw the main points of that book in a dream. And interestingly, in the 1920s, E.B. White wrote Stuart Little out of a dream. But that one's cool because the heightened sense that came out of the twilight or the dream time for E.B. White, it took, I believe it was 5 or 6 years after the dream before E.B. White actually put the story to paper, which is another cool thing that talks to us about the timing of a dream and the timing of its interpretation or its application don't always match what we would expect. It doesn't come immediately type thing.
Well, I was thinking about this heightened sense during this time, about how you kind of had that encounter with your grandmother coming. You said you were kind of asleep but kind of awake, and that's how they describe the N1 time period. It's the least studied phase of sleep. And so I find that interesting. And I also think, too, we look at how we interact, and if we can't quieten our mind down to be able to hear some things sometimes, to shut everything off, but still be able to kind of have this lucid type moment is really a cool thing to think about, and just to allow God to speak to us during that time too. I've actually been falling asleep, and like you had that really interesting encounter with your grandmother, and I've I've prayed and fallen asleep for a few minutes and got found something for someone that was very important one time that they had lost. You know, just it's like it can solve things that you wouldn't think. And you hear of even inventors falling asleep and waking up, going, "I have the answer to what my problem that I need to solve."
Yeah, absolutely. You see those sorts of things, and you mentioned something, that sort of lucidity within the dream reminds me of another movie, Inception, where they take control within the dreams.
Yeah. I don't think I saw that movie. I saw part of it.
I don't know. At any rate, the idea behind it is to interact in the dream to glean additional value out of it. And you're talking about that same thing, the intentional holding of the cup, recognizing something in the moment of the dream, not just taking, and you're paralleling, taking advantage of understanding within the dream, and also, as the study you're talking about did, taking advantage of the immediate time following a dream or a twilight season. Now, we have to be careful with twilight stuff. I mean, look at all the trouble that got into it, Inception. So, I mean, that's just an example.
We're not talking about manipulating things.
You don't want to change a God dream. Right. But you don't want to put up with a dream from the enemy. So there is a place for interacting in your dreams. Yeah. But taking advantage of that heightened sense is always. I tell people about God dreams, if you have more of a lucid dreaming scenario where you recognize you're dreaming and you're having a dream from God, and there's an angel in your dream, or somebody's there to give you information or ask questions.
Yeah.
Interact.
Why not?
You're not trying to change things. You're trying to gain more understanding and information. And that kind of fits within the dream with the same concept you're talking about with the twilighter coming out of it.
Yeah. So I would just like to encourage people and remind them, it's so, I can't stress it enough, so important for you to, when you wake up from a dream or an experience or whatever, for you to kind of wake up enough. If it seemed important, if it seemed like it had weightiness to it, to wake up and really repeat this dream back to yourself. Write it down, speak it into your little recorder on your phone, because I had a significant dream this week and I thought, I will not forget this. And sure enough, I did. I can remember bits and pieces of it, but it's like, okay, I know not to do that. And I did it. And I'm like, Yeah.
Well, and I think those significant dreams can be really valuable, because I'm just thinking of all these examples from books and TV and movies right now, from a book and a very current, very popular book series. It was written some time back, but very currently popular, and a brand new Amazon TV series called Wheel of Time. If you're one of those people who likes fantasy and is watching the Wheel of Time, no spoilers, but I will say this. I've watched some of that TV series. There's a little bit of weird stuff in it, and you have to, but I've seen some of it because I try and keep track of what's very popular, particularly when it has spiritual connotations to it. The book series has a big emphasis on dreams. The TV series, as I understand, because I haven't seen all of it, but as I understand, has not addressed that really almost at all. But there's been a couple of sequences where dreams interacted, even in the TV series, with reality. So there was something that took place in the dream, and then the person wakes up, and part of what had happened in the dream is evidenced in reality. And then as you get into the books, as I understand it, they have a world for dreaming, which is called, I think, Teleronriad or something like that. I think it has a meaning in some religion, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, that's the world where dreams are reality. And what they're alluding to, without realizing it, because it's not a Christian series, what they're alluding to without realizing it is that when we step into the dream world, we are connecting to a real spiritual world is not just something that goes on in our mind. Now, granted, some dreams are just happening in our mind.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. There is a real spiritual environment, a real world we're interacting with.
Yeah.
And it does have impact upon our life.
Yeah.
And it does have a reality of spiritual reality associated with it.
Which is why we should really...
which is why significant dreams, we need to pay attention to.
It's important. And I'm not saying that every single dream I have is important. I'm
Right.
not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, you can have fear dreams. You can have, you can have all kinds of dreams that are where the enemy is intruding into your dream, and it's like it's not a good dream. But it doesn't mean that you can't grow from it or you can't learn from it. And isn't it neat, miraculous even, that God created us to be able to have this fantastical thing happen while we're sleeping?
Yeah. It's so cool. Hey, listen, we're almost out of time, but I got to mention my 2 superhero movie dreams.
Come on.
Because I can't leave those out.
Come on.
Okay? Because I'm a superhero movie fan. If it doesn't matter whether you're a DC or a Marvel fan, I got one from each. You've got Batman. I think it's in Batman versus Superman. Batman. Okay. Batman has this dream that sets up the entire next movie.
Yes.
The Justice League movies about the I can't remember who the villain is now. Darkseid, I think it is, or it's actually Steppenwolf that comes. And so this attack that's coming, Batman has a dream about it. It's giving him information he has to pay attention to, and he prepares. Thanks, we got company again, and he prepares for it's like a warning dream. He prepares for something they're going to face, and he's putting a team together. That's where the Justice League movie comes in, because of a dream which helped him be warned and prepared about a battle he was going to face, something he was going to face. Mm-hmm. Then if you're a Marvel fan, you've got the Avengers. Early in the Avengers movies, is a dream sequence or a visual sequence that I would call a dream that foreshadows the whole final battle with Thanos and this sort of thing. So I wanted to point those 2 out for the concept of warning dreams that prepare us for something. Yeah. We've had great illustrations of so many different kinds of dreams, all that you can look at them. You can't see somebody else's dream.
True.
But you can watch a TV show or a movie or thing and see a cinematic sequence that really lays out. And again, don't email me. My pastor says that all the time when he says something controversial. Don't email me. I'm not suggesting that all these movie sequences, or even that you should go watch all these TV shows or movie sequences or read these books. I'm not necessarily thinking Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's the best idea for everybody to go read. Or, you know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is there are visuals and descriptors in our popular culture that can help us visualize and understand what dreams are like.
Yeah.
They may be fictional. They may not be, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting they're coming from God, but I'm saying there can be useful tools that we can draw on to understand dreams better.
Well, look, it really doesn't matter whether I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but when you think about different categories of things that dreams are in, even within other people, I mean, there are good people who dream and there are people who are evil who dream. It doesn't negate the fact that dreams are occurring all around us all the time, and it's just something God has given to us. So, and with that, I think we should wrap up. We got a cat that is just really running wild.
She's wild. I don't know. I think she looks like she's trying to jump to the ceiling. She's she's
seen some shadows.
The cow jumped over the moon. I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to have a cat jumping over the moon here. But anyway, we are out of time. So let's just say thank you again for joining us. Watch, like, subscribe. What's the other one we do?
I don't know.
Whatever those things are, do all of them. And we are just a few weeks away from a branding change. We've got a new name coming up. We're going to broaden out, not leaving dreams aside, but going to broaden out into some more things
topics.
and other topics related to
Yeah.
interacting with God.
We can't walk away from
And so
dreams.
we're
It'll
really
just
excited
be-
about it.
We're
And
just expanding and adding to.
yeah, it's going to be good. So we look forward to that with you. And
Yeah.
I guess we should say till next time.